Alright guys, well I split the apron off the carriage and I flipped the carriage upside down on the workbench here. And just checking it out. I took the way wipers off, so that's cool. Looks pretty good, pretty smooth. A little bit of tomfoolery in there, but nothing to worry about other than a light stoning. I'm going to take this bottom little catchy thing off, whatever this is called. It's a keeper, and the back looks really good too. So that makes me happy. This is going to get all cleaned up in the parts tank. The way this is lubricated, these keepers that hold the felts, they got a Gitz cup on them for oil, and that directly oils the felts. And that's kind of what I did on my Clausing Colchester 17-inch. But this, this is the same. But boy, oh boy, wouldn't it be nice to get some better lubrication, like maybe on the other side put a Gitz cup oiling there and maybe a Gitz cup oiling there or something, or maybe something down the middle. I don't know, but sure would be nice to get a better oil situation. Alright, so let me turn you around. What I got going on is the parts washer, and this is my process. So I got the apron in the parts washer, and that's what it looks like. And it's just mineral spirits, paint thinner, Varsol, whatever you guys call it. It's pretty dirty, but I don't think it affects the cleaning ability. Just as a reference, this is a 33-gallon drum or 32 or something, and it's on wheels. So if it's something heavy, what I'll do is I'll wheel it over, underneath my hoist, my I-beam. Sorry if the light's just killing you. And I'll just put it over there, and you put something heavy on the hook and use it, suspend it, get it in here. This wasn't too bad. I'd say this was 35 pounds or something. So what I'm going to do is just let that run a bit. I've been picking all the grease off of it. This Hendey lathe was supposed to be grease lubricated. I had a million grease fittings on it, and I don't think I'm going to use grease. I'm going to switch over to that, this stuff. When I talk about motor honey, it comes in like a gear lube container. This is what I use, not affiliated with Lucas, but oil stabilizer, heavy duty engine treatment. STP, scientifically treated petroleum, is the same thing. So, so that's kind of soaking running there. If you guys forgot, the Hendey is over there. Look, I told you I had a 5C adapter. Isn't that interesting? Oh, whatever. So yeah, that's kind of where I got the idea for my, I know the light's terrible, my felt holders for the ways there. And that works really well. I guess there's no reason it shouldn't work well on the Hendey, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, that's the Hendey. It's been like this forever. It's got the motor generator, everything works, surprisingly. I remember I got the tail center steady rest I showed you guys a while ago. Step back. So there she is, as sexy-licious as she is, the Hendey tool and gauge maker lathe. It swings 10 1/4, I think 5 1/2 over the cross slide, and on-off button rheostat, relay stuff, and main motor. And of course, this thing was this thing's in really good shape. I restored this thing with only steel wool and oil, and this came completely apart and completely cleaned. There's a little bit, I'm gonna try to zoom in on this. You can see a little bit of a ridge right at the bottom, and I measured that. The best I can measure that's 1/1000 and a half. This thing's probably going to defocus, unfocus, but this thing's really in good shape. Really coarse pitch lead screw. I took everything apart, cleaned everything. Everything is clean. And I did this up in New York 13 years ago before I moved. So that's my process, cleaning that. I'm not going to bore you. Like I said, I got my overhead hoist for the heavy stuff, and I've done that before. So let me get back to cleaning and kind of doing a little parts inventory, and you know, we'll bring you back with something more interesting. All right, I'm cleaning up the apron, and I want to take the front cover off the apron. I got all the screws out, and I'm running into these power feed dealios here. Well, they don't spin because the weight's on the handle. But anyways, these are what are they called? Higgins nuts, right? Wittet Higgins. Go to their website. They've been making these for like 100 years, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, they make a spanner wrench for this. Wittet Higgins does. And it's like $200. A socket. It's actually a socket, not a hook spanner, but they make sockets. But what this is I decided to beat them off. But this is a piece of aluminum, right? This is, as you can see, a well-used, multiple times scrap piece of aluminum. And I've just been using it to get in there, and I've got my hammer. And it's not a great big hammer, and try to be conservative when you're doing this stuff. But get in there at an angle and try to work it loose. This one, you had to bend back the tabs, right? There's little tabs in there. Maybe you can see them, maybe you can't because they're greasy and yada yada. This one was a real bear. So, you know, I ended up just, you know, giving it a good couple of blows and cleaning it and checking it, and but that's what you do. You go in there like kind of at a 45 degree angle in and a 45 degree angle down. Try to get in there as best you can. And I wailed on this with my small hammer, right? But I did not hurt these tabs a bit. I mean, it took some, you know, chowder on the aluminum piece. But look at, man, I've been beating this thing for, I've used this piece multiple times, and it's these little stupid, you know, the pieces of scrap you don't want to throw them away, but you're kicking yourself for keeping junk around. But man, I've used this thing probably 20 times, I swear to goodness. And you can see how beat up it is, but who cares? Just cut a piece off and keep going with it. So that's my technique. You know, we'll keep going with this, try to get the front off. Everything's in real good shape, but the one gear spins and the other gear, there's something, it spins a little, and there's like a chunky, there's something caught in there, like a little piece of something floating around, I don't know what. But I just wanted to show you that. Do no harm, you know, take it easy with this stuff. If you don't have the right tool, that's okay, improvise, but, you know, before you use a pipe wrench on something, which, you know, you can go with a pipe wrench for sure. And, you know, this is a lead hammer, Babbitt hammer, same thing, pretty much. You know, there's always ways to do this if you don't have access to a big spanner or a little spanner. You know, just use something softer. Brass would have probably screwed those nuts up. Because I've done it before, and brass is too hard. Aluminum is the way to go, and like I said, just get a sacrificial piece of junk, and and just use it, and be patient and diligent, and you'll get stuff apart. All right, guys, we got her apart, and she's in real good condition, and I understand why those gears would turn sometimes yes and sometimes no. So there's the front. There's the two knobs that you pull up, the two levers rather, and then there's the half nut lever, and of course where the hand wheel goes. All right. So you look down. I'm doing a handheld flashlight, so bear with me. So there's the worm wheels and all the mechanism and da-da-da-da. There's the S-cam for the half nuts. You can kind of see the S-cam. There you go. And all the power feed stuff. There's a blocker rod. The blocker rod prevents the bed feed when the half nuts are engaged. So that's what that's about. And all this works great. But what I was fighting was those worms. They're all greasy. Those had dropped down, and of course they would, because the feed rod is not in there. The feed rods and the lead screw are installed in the lathe, right? And see those little those are actually, they're painted white, copper lines. They have grease fittings on the outside. So those copper lines direct the grease to the worms. So I guess that's how Hendey designed it. I want to see exactly where they put the grease. It's a double-sided apron, but it's not a sealed apron. You can see the windows. You can see the parts tank through the windows. So you can see it's not sealed. So chips could get in there. But since I think this machine was 1951, handyman, I think his name was James McDermott, sent me a information on my serial number. It was 1951. This machine, the year of it. So I'm going to get this grease cleaned off. So it looks like you got to put the back of the apron on, because those worms have to go on the shaft, the power feed shaft, and then you assemble the front. And to get the front off, I just had to take off that nut there, and that's really the only thing I needed to take off that holds this thing together, other than the cap screws. So yeah, document it for myself. Take that nut off, and the power feed gear for the cross feed comes off. So that's it. The Hendey tool and gauge maker lathe. I'm pleasantly surprised everything's in great shape. I'm going to scrupulously clean all the grease out of this. I'm going to go through, check out what these oil or grease tubes are, rather. If I can convert them to Gitz flip-top oilers, I may. If it drips the oil in the right spot. If it's kind of a weird, I might keep it grease if it, you know, if I determine that's the best thing. But no chips are in there. That's super good, super awesome. So again, if I convert it, I'm going to use this Lucas oil stabilizer, Motor Honey, STP, whatever you call it. So just super happy. I'm just so excited I got this apart and everything's in awesome shape. So, you know, I got 1,000 projects going, and I didn't need to start this one, but you know what? All my other projects are on hold got to order a part or machine a shaft or do something. But this is something straight up cleaning, and you know, I really want to use this Hendey lathe. So, I mean, I think the last purchase basically was that Pratt & Whitney. So I got the Pratt & Whitney jig borer, or Pratt & Whitney 12C lathe. And then, you know, of course, the Hendey. I want to get that going. The only thing I have to do left on the Colchester, I mean, this is a functional lathe. I just got to get that gap planed down or ground down or whatever. So we'll see about that. And the other lathe is the Sagami. back there, I'm hip checking stuff, and of course the HLVH, which needs some massaging. So anyways, I'm gonna keep working on this, and I'll bring you back with more interesting stuff.